Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another live edition of the Roundtable, coming to you live this week. We are back in studio, WWDBTV in the heart of Las Vegas. We want to send.
Where were we last week?
Well, I was just going to say, if you didn't interrupt me, we want to thank everybody over at Gilbert Academy of Performing Arts Elementary School up in North Las Vegas.
That was fun.
Kind of that way.
Yes,
we want to thank them for opening up their theater. We had students, we had teachers, we had a great time over there showing off the school. But today we are back home. No more wires to trip over or John running around worrying about getting stuff set up. Thank you for watching us on Facebook, YouTube, whatever you'd like. And of course, yes.
I wanted to ask George if he was successful in trying to register over there at the
Oh,
school.
yes. Have you submitted your registration?
You know, I was going to call them and say, hey, can I take a couple classes at Gilbert?
If you missed last week's show, George is in love with the broadcast studio at an elementary school.
It's incredible, and I wish Rick would have been able to see it, but I know that he was a little immobile that day, but the studio.
Not only that, but he couldn't get around either.
Right. Funny. And again, I'm no comedian out of work, but no, the studio is incredible. These guys have a great opportunity, these young kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it
was
a
great.
great studio.
If, what was I going to say? Oh, in about a week, we saw in a week timetable go to Roku.
Sure.
All right. In about a week or so, because they're doing some upgrades to Roku, make sure you download the WWDBTV channel to your Roku streaming service. Because not only will you get all the shows here from the Roundtable on the network, but there are so many more you can choose from to watch and get your taste of WWDBTV. Gentlemen, how you doing this week?
Good.
Cold?
Hanging in
Are we
there.
cold?
First time in a year now that we've hit like 30 now.
Snow.
Yeah. I put my athletic bra on. So, yeah.
Was it that warmer?
Yeah, it was making
Well, you guys live on this side of town where the snow. You guys saw snow in your yard? I didn't get it in
I
Henderson.
didn't.
No, none of that,
But
but
my-
it was brisk.
But my buddy Rafi, who's a corrections officer, he took a picture of his car when he stepped out of the prison this morning when he got off. It had at least a couple inches of snow, not only on it, but around the car and everything.
Yeah.
He was not a happy camper, but hey, that's Mother Nature. It looks good up in the mountains, and it could stay up there. as far as
Yeah,
I'm concerned.
yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, it's that time of year. I mean,
Oh, of course.
we are in winter, right?
Yep.
And the desert does get winter as well, right?
Mhm.
We're not immune to the cold
does
or the
get it.
snow and all that type of stuff. So, hey, let's let Mother Nature do her thing.
Although I don't
She'll
mind it.
pass through, because let me tell you, when summer comes, you're going to be like, give me winter back, would
That's-
you please?
That's
crazy.
why I don't
Yeah.
mind this couple of 3 months of cool
Yeah.
weather that we get, because the rest of the year is 140 every day.
Exactly. I mean, we really only
Right.
get 3 weeks of really cold temperatures.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Last week in December, a couple of weeks in January, and by February, we're like,
It's
ooh,
70s.
it's 50 degrees. Break out the shorts and tank tops. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Hey, by the way, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We got a great show today. Not that we don't ever not have a great show,
That's right.
but today is a good one to pay attention to. We're going to have 3 gentlemen, and I use that term loosely because I know they're listening and they're friends. If you watch Kiwanis Connects in the middle of December, these 3 gentlemen were on talking about stroke awareness. Now, why these 3 gentlemen? Because I'm proud to say that although they had a stroke, they are survivors, and they are going to talk about all the signs to recognize what they do, everything around them. So it'll be John Brummer, it'll be Rocky Bersati, and it'll be Derek. I always screw up Derek's last name. Lubick. There you go. Lubick. Derek, I love you. Sorry, you'll correct me when you come on. They're over in the green internet green room.
You off.
I know he did. He said I'm number 1 or 2. Anyway,
Real quick, if I may bring it up,
please.
I'm sure the audience wants to know
Yes.
why, and I kind of really don't even know the answer for sure.
Okay.
We are all wearing Roundtable football jerseys.
Yes, our new attire for football season.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they're up. Well, better late than never.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
right.
We're hoping that we get word from a local restaurant whose name I will not share unless it becomes
Not yet,
official.
right?
That on Super Bowl Sunday we hope to be hosting
Something.
Something.
A nice party.
a nice party.
Yeah, let our hair down, you know, all of that
That's
type
right.
of
We
stuff.
always
I'm
go
gonna have to
with
get
the hair
my-
jokes.
Because
Right.
we ain't got none.
No, that's
I mean,
true.
so, I mean,
We've let it down and we just can't reel it
We
back
just
in.
can't
That's
reel it
about
back
But I
it.
just want
But
to.
yeah.
I love the colors.
They are show colors.
They are.
pretty
They're
much.
just
Yeah,
really,
as close
really
as I
cool.
can get.
Yeah.
Black
Yeah.
and blue. Vincent.
That's right.
And you know the thing about it, man. You know when you go around and you talk with different
Yeah.
venues and businesses and that whole deal, and you talk about what you want to do and how you can enhance anything that's going on during the week and during the Super Bowl and that whole deal. It's almost they get reluctant. Why is that? Why is it that folks
great
get
question.
reluctant of being able to enhance what they're going to do anyway?
Right.
Mhm.
And say, hey, you know what, you guys, man, I think, man, you guys can really enhance this and bring in more people and give some spice to it.
That's
Listen,
weird.
It's a funny business, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's
Well,
just a funny business.
all marketing is.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Here we're talking about taking a game that how many millions or billions of people
Right,
is going to be
billion,
watching,
right.
whether you're a fan of the teams in it or not. It's a party day.
That's
right.
right.
And so any business, they always have trouble pulling the trigger to promote themselves. So I don't get it either. It
Mhm.
just surprises me. Why? Because people are marketing their business anyway.
That's right.
I sat down with a gentleman yesterday who is a real estate agent in town. He spent $45,000 on marketing last year.
Ooh,
Okay.
baby.
Now, he used a lot of different sources to
Sure.
market and get leads
Sure.
for
Sure.
real estate business. And out of all of those methods, he only got, I shouldn't say only, because we know how real estate agents are paid.
Right.
He got 6 deals out of it over the course of 12 months, $45,000. And I asked him, was it worth it? He didn't jump right out and say, oh, absolutely. I
Right.
kind of got that. So
Right.
it's a matter of just finding the right time. But here, you, like you said, we have a location that said they're ready to be doing something.
Yes.
won't
And here
make
we
the
have
last-
the greatest wide receiver to never be installed in the Hall of Fame for some
and they
freaking
won't- and
reason.
they won't even
We'll
jump
fix
on it.
that.
Yeah, we'll fix that. Hall of Famer here,
Right.
veteran broadcaster
Yes, sir.
there.
Right.
What could go wrong? Well, you
Yeah.
haven't seen us, have you?
Yeah,
That's all.
well,
Never mind.
Hey,
I take that
we're-
question back.
We could put a stick in the spoke. I mean, we could do that real well, but I don't think we would do it on that day.
of course
You know
not.
what I'm
We would
saying?
have fun.
So
You know.
yeah, you know, the place that we're talking about, it's a great venue.
Absolutely.
Just
updated
wonderful,
recently.
updated. They've opened it up.
Used to
Boy,
be a steakhouse.
right.
I
Used to be a
won't give away the
steakhouse.
name or location.
And had an opportunity to sit down with the, management and that whole deal.
Mhm.
But once again, as we know, with management that's there,
Don't call us, we'll call you.
yeah, they also have somebody above them that calls the shots and pulls the trigger.
I hear that a lot.
And so, and so, but a lot of times we're going to be sitting around waiting because they said, "Don't call us, we'll call you, and we'll let you know."
I still call until they say no. And that's just me. Anyway, but while anybody's listening, if you're here in the local Vegas area and you want hosts for a Super Bowl, you know what? We'll even come to a house. If you ever had a house party for a Super Bowl
Yeah.
and you want us to come by, we'll do a live show.
Heck
We'll have
yeah.
some fun.
Some
me up-
giveaways.
Giveaways.
Yeah, we got
I may
bunch-
know somebody who has some stuff you could sign
Yeah,
that's valuable.
absolutely. Yeah.
right.
Email me, theroundtablelv@gmail.com, or post it.
Hit us
Hey, you
up.
want us to come in? Maybe we should, we'll do that. But if you have a restaurant, you're doing something, just hit us up, man. I mean, just feed us and
Well,
we'll be
when it
happy.
comes with sales, you might recognize this. Is you keep calling them until they tell you to F off or die.
That's
Does
right.
that sound familiar?
Absolutely. And that's what I do.
That's for
That's how
sure.
I answer the phone.
That's You stop at F off though. That's the problem.
Right.
See, but I hear what you're saying, and you're right. That does rub people the wrong way. But I will say this, and it's the only time I'm going to pat myself on the back.
Mhm.
If I have not done the way I do it until you say no, I would have not been on the air for 18 and a half years.
Right.
I get it.
You
Yeah,
know,
I
it
get it.
just, so, but listen, there's many chances out there. There's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what? If we don't do it for Super Bowl, March Madness
We're
is coming
gonna-
up a month later.
We'll just keep digging the hole, man,
And
and
if
throwing
we-
dirt on
If
ourselves.
we camp
right?
out in your front lawn, we had no place to go. So we're going to host it right there.
Right.
Anyway, 702-992-3207 is our number. If you want to call in, I hope you do during the show when our guests will pop on here after the first break. If you have any comments, of course, we're monitoring the chat room. If you're watching on YouTube, you can send your comments there as well. John does pick them up through the board as well. All right, real quickly, I want to get your reaction. This is going to be a sports-centric show, except for with the gentlemen, although they're welcome to chime in on their sports thoughts. Let's talk about the big game real quickly on Monday, national championship. Michigan Wolverines defeated Washington. We really got lucky with two great semifinal games down to the last play.
Semi-pro. at this
Literally,
point.
well, semi-pro, that's true.
Yeah.
Slip of the tongue, but not really. And even the finals, was very close until the end of the third quarter, beginning fourth.
Right.
But really, Washington was really never out of it. But boy, Penix really got beaten up. You see the way he left
did.
that field.
He
So-
did. He got flustered in there
He
towards
got
the
beaten
end.
up.
And Michigan, I knew in the end that it would turn out the way it did.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, Penix, he just kind of, he got beat up and just got flustered towards the end. And it's just, when you're down by 2 touchdowns
Right.
there, it was just hard to come back with 6-7 minutes to go.
Yeah, Rick.
Well, for me, I told everybody, I went with Washington. I thought Washington with Penix, and those wide receivers that they had, that their
I did hear you
offense,
do that on
Yeah.
Channel 8, by the way.
right, that their offense would really outscore Michigan, right?
Mhm.
But let me tell you, that Michigan defense, man, played the best defense I've seen them play all year long.
Mhm.
They were stellar. They were in the right places. They were physical. And then I looked at it and I says, look, that Pac-10 football, it is not Big Ten football. You talking about the physicality of them offensive linemen coming off the ball. You saw the first couple of series, they was blowing them back 5-6 yards
Well,
in
look at
that
the 2 touchdown runs that the running back number 7
Yeah,
had.
man.
First 2 touches, right?
Absolutely. And so the physicality of the Big Ten
Mhm.
compared to the Pac-10, because they like to throw it around and wing it and spread everybody out.
Right.
I said, if the later we get into this game, they're going to wear them down and they're going to whip their behinds. And that's exactly what
Mhm.
happened.
Right.
Now, what does it say about the Michigan system? And here's why I say that. Harbaugh is out 6 games out of 14, right?
Right.
And they still went undefeated. So is it more of a product of a great system that they were able to carry on when that offensive coordinator who did a great job for those
He's
6 games?
fantastic.
I mean, is
Yeah.
it more system or just the way they were coached up
Well,
this year?
Desmond Howard, I was listening to Desmond Howard, who was a Heisman Trophy winner for
Yep.
the
Michigan.
Michigan
Yeah.
Wolverines. And he says, you guys, man, don't understand that, hey, Jim Harbaugh went out and got professional assistants.
Mhm.
He says they've already been in a system. All they had to do is understand the system that Jim Harbaugh wanted and then implement it into the kids, because the kids have tremendous amount of respect for them. And he said it was the coaching staff that really prepared these kids each game, especially when Jim Harbaugh was gone.
Mhm.
And they said didn't miss a beat.
Right.
Didn't miss a beat. Jim was still giving them the information about what they needed to do, right, on the sideline.
Mhm.
But these guys, because they were professionals, were able to implement it. And the kids, man, they carried
They
out. They
gravitated
carried
to
it out.
Now, one thing for me, both teams were 14-0, and I was telling my friend the mental aspect of Washington to go 14-0, fantastic, number 2 in the country, and you lose that last game that everybody's watching. How that mental, you saw him on the, we all get to where I played on football, more and more of a losing team than a winning team, so I know how it was to lose, but to lose that last game, especially for some of the seniors, 14-0, when you lose that.
Well, ask Tom Brady how he
game.
felt against my Giants when they went undefeated the entire year, and the Giants came back to beat them in the Super Bowl. Same
Yeah.
thing on the pro level.
Well, sorry, I can speak on it. We went to Super Bowl 12, and we got a pretty doggone good defense, probably one of the best ones to ever
the
play in the
Orange
National
Crush.
Football League.
Yep.
And then we're going up against Doomsday, defense of Dallas and
Mhm.
Roger Staubach, Captain America, and America's team, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But let me tell you something. We thought that we were on a roll. We felt that we could play them. What did we do? We turned the ball over 8 times.
Mhm.
Incredible.
And then they turned the ball over 5 times. We got none of theirs. They got 4 of ours.
Wow.
So we
Wow.
should have lost worse than 27-10,
Yep.
right? But our defense kept us in the game.
Right.
I return a kickoff, man, 67 yards. We're now right back into the game because we get our touchdown.
Right.
But then they run a gimmick play, Robert Newhouse to Golden
Robert
Richards,
Newhouse.
Golden
God,
Richards,
he had
touchdown, and that was the end of that.
Right.
But
took
that
to win
whole time,
six,
yeah, so that whole time we were in the game.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, that Doomsday defense and Captain America, they were just good.
Staubach.
But I remember Robert Newhouse thighs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They were
Tree
just-
trunks.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
get hit by
were
that.
good. And he was only about 5'8", so
Right.
you couldn't get a good hit on.
Yeah.
He was like a
Right.
fire hydrant.
Because then he would run. He was low.
He was
on
Low,
the
low,
ground.
yeah.
fire
Definitely.
hydrant, yeah,
Wow.
no doubt.
Wow.
But so is now the question is, where's Harbaugh going to end up for next year?
I think out in the Chargers myself.
Yeah.
I really do. I think the Chargers need someone to come in there and overhaul their whole offense. Their offense was horrible.
Right.
Mhm.
Defense was on the field too much. Yeah,
He's got a
they need
quarterback
an
there.
offensive guy.
There are 8 openings right now in the NFL.
Isn't that amazing?
And I can't think of any of the other teams that they have openings who has a quarterback in place like the Chargers have with Herbert. I don't care what you want to say about the Raiders and Aiden and all that. He's not your future. Carolina has no quarterback. Seattle has an opening. I don't know how much more Geno Smith can play.
Right.
But San Diego's really the only team that has an established that I can think of. I
They're
could be
young
wrong on
and
the other
they're
openings.
young and they're
And they have
ready
some
to roll.
talent at least to
Yeah.
work with. You know?
Absolutely.
And of course, you got him on the open market. Now, Bill Belichick, who knows? But if Harbaugh does leave, you tell me anybody else other than that offensive coordinator should become the
Right.
right? He should become that coach.
Sure.
Right.
Just like with
What-
the Raiders. I mean, my goodness. I mean, what do you got to think about? I mean, I understand you have to go through the process.
The Rooney Rule.
And you have to, go through it and this, that, and the other. But let me tell you something. I think the players have already let them know that they want Antonio Pierce to be their coach.
Well, they felt the same way 2 years ago with Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah.
And look what Mark Davis did. So I don't know how
Well,
that's going to turn.
he's-
I want AP to stay too. My
His
God.
eyes are sparkly with the shiny cards
every
that are out
time,
there. So,
every time.
you hear these articles that there are 2 other candidates, one other candidate besides AP and whatnot. And if Pierce is not hired as coach, one article talked about he should go to the Giants and be involved in the defensive side.
Well,
now
he
that
did
Wink,
win a Super Bowl
I
with
said
him,
Wink
so-
Martindale, but that Wink
Right.
is out of
Wink.
there. He resigned because of issues with Dayball, supposedly.
Mhm.
But the coaching carousel starts. Anyway, with that, we're at the quarter at mark. It is time to step away for our first break. As we come back, we're going to get a little serious with our guests, talking about stroke awareness as they support an organization called Pacific Stroke Association or Awareness out there in Cali. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
This is Carl Mecklenburg inviting you to watch my favorite talk show, The Roundtable, with my good friend Rick Upchurch, Aaron Phillips, and George Miklos. Catch the show every Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific on the WWDBTV network.
Are you looking for someone to provide training to your staff? Do you need a motivational speaker about how to handle change? Do you have an upcoming event that needs an MC to handle those responsibilities? Well, look no further than longtime Las Vegas radio personality Aaron Phillips. I am local to Las Vegas and I can blend my talents with any audience. For more information, please visit www.aaronphillipsvoice.com and book me for your next event or training needs.
All right, welcome back to the Roundtable. All right, back live. Now it is with Fun Fest Fairness. I couldn't come up with any other F's. Well, I can, but they're not for airing.
Well, they
My
could.
3 guests that are coming on, good friends of mine. We know each other through Kiwanis. They were on Kiwanis Connects with me back in December, Governor Val, because their topic is very important, stroke awareness. At this time, please welcome John, Derek, and Rocky to the show. Gentlemen, how you guys doing tonight?
Good.
I'm just fine.
Good.
Excellent.
And Rocky gets extra stars because before he went on the air, he actually remembered Rick Upchurch. So that's a great thing from his playing days.
Yeah,
Right.
that's been a long time. I know you had to go and move cobwebs and blow dust off and stuff just to know the name, man.
Or go to YouTube.
Or go to YouTube. They didn't have YouTube when he played.
Watch this show.
Or
Yeah,
watch the
not at
show.
all.
You didn't have YouTube when you played. We're
Oh,
all
heaven,
Right.
YouTube. What was that?
All right. So today, folks, it is all about stroke awareness. And as I mentioned in the opening, these 3 gentlemen had previous strokes. I'll let them share their stories as much as they choose to. But more importantly, how they survived, and they're here with us still today, leading a very active life, even with whatever their new normal is. So I'm going to throw it out there. Who's going to be the first spokesperson to start sharing some info?
Rocky.
Oh, and Rocky points to you.
Yeah,
Very good. All right.
right.
We're in control. All right.
Go, Rocky.
I guess that's me. First
Go ahead,
of all, I want to say thank you very much for inviting us to this roundtable. I'm here with my 2 friends, my good friends, and I loved the talk before. You guys had some humor there, but now it's time to get serious. And I know that for me, being serious, I had a great life. I played semi-pro baseball for 12 years. I never missed a game. I never was hurt. I was invincible. And that's the way we think. We're invincible. And then all of a sudden, at 60 years old, I have a stroke. And I was umpiring adult softball, night games. I had 2. And yes, I'm very loyal. I worked my 2 games, even though my left leg was feeling numb. And I'm thinking the whole time, you know what? Tomorrow I will be fine. I'll make it through these 2 games, and tomorrow will be good. And obviously, that's not the way it works. So my body was trying to tell me something, and I didn't listen. I wasn't aware. And that's what we're going to do today is we're going to hopefully make everybody aware of the importance of the signs that your body gives you, whatever it may be. You look for those. But I didn't have any except I got weak. And I went to the hospital after 5 hours, but that was too late to get the medicine that normally they would give to you when you're having a stroke. But I survived. And they told me there in the hospital that 1 out of 3 survive. So we are all 3 here. We are one of those 3 that survive, which is so very important. I know that it is a struggle. There's certain things that I can't do anymore in life. I can't play golf anymore. I can't play baseball or softball, obviously, anymore. Can't go dancing anymore because of my left side. But most importantly, when I talked to the doctor said, you know what? Have you got any plans soon? And I said, yes, in 1 month, we're headed to Japan. Can I go? He said, absolutely. Don't go into a shell. Whatever you were doing before, do it. Keep doing it. So we traveled a lot, made it to Japan after 1 month after my stroke. And that was something that we, never thought about whatsoever. Not being able to play catch with my grandchildren, that's a tough one. That is a tough one because I've got 3 wonderful grandchildren and I want to be active with them, but you can't be that active with them. In my rehab, I was in Vallejo for 2 weeks, and I met so many wonderful doctors there. They're very famous for world doctors around the world from everywhere. And I met so many good people, and I learned so much about strokes that I should have known before, but I didn't. And so that's where I am right now. And as the doctor said, do things. And I was asked to be governor of Kiwanis. And I said, yes, I'll do that. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I did that. And I appreciated the opportunity because it let me stay out of my shell. And I am not going to go into a shell.
Right.
Right now, we're down in Carlsbad. We're having a little vacation, so can't do that. Cannot do that whatsoever. Anyway,
Rocky,
go ahead.
I want to just, and actually this question really is for all 3 of you. The moment that you realized you were having the stroke, when you realized you were going into the hospital immediately, what was your initial thoughts going on in your mind at that point? I mean, what were you thinking? What was like, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to, what was your initial thoughts? And any one of you or all of you can address that.
Well, it was.
Who wants to go?
For me, go
ahead, Derek.
Can you hear me? Oh, you're close. You're very.
Okay. Next.
Oh yes. Sorry. I was at the hospital. So I just kind of like, I just.
Derek, your audio is breaking up on us a little bit.
Oh no.
Try again.
Yeah, my hospital. The ride to the hospital wasn't sure what was going on.
Okay, so you weren't sure what was going on. John Brummer, how about you, sir?
Okay. When I had my stroke, I was at a meeting, walking into a meeting, the Kiwanis meeting, and I couldn't talk. And I opened my mouth and nothing came out. So that's unusual for John Brummer because John talks a lot and people know that. So luckily, someone in the meeting knew that was a sign of stroke and had the waitress call 911 immediately. They didn't call my wife. They didn't call anybody except 911 to get an ambulance there to take me to the hospital. Unlike Rocky, I got to the hospital within 10 minutes. I got the TPA shot, and I was talking again in about a half hour to an hour, and I was lucky. I mean, like Rocky, I'm an active person. I exercise a lot. I've run some marathons. I'm active in Kiwanis. I mean, it doesn't matter how active you are, a stroke can happen to anybody.
Right. Gentlemen?
Yeah.
I mainly had a question. It goes for all three of you, but Rocky was mentioning that the doctor said just keep living your life. Go to Japan. Is it more of a lot of the recovery? I would assume is a lot of mental. That you just got to keep doing what you're doing, keep living. Does that help in the recovery process as much as the physical aspect?
Absolutely. The mental is very important. I know that people tell you things and you try to relate to it, all the things you did in your past, but mentally you've got to stay strong. Most definitely you stay strong. And traveling, that's a good thing. Being out and about, that's a good thing. Because they say when you go into a shell, then you'll probably die. You don't want to go into a shell. You want to stay active. And so mentally, you've got to keep your spirits up and enjoy your kids, enjoy your family. Your family is so very important.
I have a thing. I attended a golf tournament with some stroke survivors. We played golf together just to get to know each other because we had stroke support groups on Zoom. We never met each other. And that was the best event I ever went to. And I got this thing from this lady who had a booth there. It's the 3 Ps from stroke. Be positive, have patience, and practice. That's the key.
Rick has a question for you.
No, I don't have a question.
Oh,
I just have a comment. Can I just say something real quick in that whole deal? My mother, her name is Juanita. She lives back in Toledo, Ohio. She's had four. She's had four stroke. She is bedridden, and her right side is paralyzed for sure. And mom is still kicking. She's still here with us. She's bedridden, but she's still with us. And today is her 92nd birthday. So, mom,
happy birthday,
happy birthday to you, mom, at 92 years old.
Right on.
And then the second thing is that yesterday I was talking with my sister, and one of my cousins, and that whole deal was going in for to get a stent put in that whole deal because she had so much plaque, in her veins and that whole deal. And so this morning she went in and that whole deal, and she never made it out. Clots developed in her body, and they broke loose, and took her in that whole deal. So to my family back in Ohio, and that whole deal, my love goes out to you in that whole deal. And Renee, we love you, and God's got you right now in that whole deal. But we never know, man, about these clots and things of that nature. They come out of nowhere, and they put stents in my mother's leg so that they could catch those clots and that whole deal. So that they didn't move and hit her in the heart or in her brain and that whole deal. But the thing about strokes and clots and that whole deal, you just don't know. You have no idea. You don't know. You think you're healthy and you're walking around, and then all of a sudden those clots, man, they develop, and all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, I can't breathe. I feel weak. I have numbness. All of those type of things. Are those the things that you guys felt, when you were having your episode?
Yeah.
I didn't feel a thing.
For me, for my left arm went numb, really numb, and I thought it happened 2 nights in a row, and I thought, oh, it's only 43.
Hey.
I used to run and hike and hit the gym every day.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. Derek, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Can you disconnect and reconnect because your audio is still getting a little jumpy, but come right back, all right?
Okay, I'll be back.
All right, thank you. Gentlemen, if you want to address Rick's comments.
Yeah, I'll answer that question. As I said, it was my left leg, and then they sent me home from the hospital that same night. They sent me home. So again, I thought I was going to be fine the next day, but then my left arm was doing the same thing as my leg. So it was my entire left side. So I went back to the hospital, and the doctor had forgotten to tell me one very important thing, and that is that a stroke lasts for 72 hours, up to 72 hours.
Yes.
So when he told me that, it was like, oh, okay, so I'm still suffering a stroke, but when will I be back out there to umpire and back in my life? And that didn't happen. That's why I went to rehab. The only good thing about rehab is I had the opportunity, my nurse in the Vallejo rehab. This is a very interesting story, because I was laying in my bed and somebody came over and said, you know, the nurse you have is a star? And I said, no, I don't know anything about her. I just met her now. Anyway, she was the mother of the famous singer now, Her, who has won several awards. And that was my claim to fame at that point. And they keep checking you for your speech.
Right.
You know, they say ah, say ah, say, and I kept saying ah, yeah. So I thought I was going to be fine. My right side was working fine. Fortunate for me, I was right-handed, and I am right-handed. Thank God. So knock on wood. Don't want to have another stroke, and don't want to wish that on anybody. It can happen at any age. Any age. Yep. And don't think you're invincible, and watch for those signs.
Well, we talked about this last time, men especially, because we hate going to the doctors.
Right.
We'll wait till limbs are falling off,
That's right. Yeah.
before we say,
That's right.
okay, I think we need to go to the doctor. Derek,
just a flesh wound.
it's just a flesh wound. Rub some dirt on it. You'll be fine. All right, Derek, let's try your audio again, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. So give us
Okay.
your experience when things were happening.
My experience, my left arm went numb the night before, and I was at home, and so my family called 911, and they got me, and I spent 2 months in the hospital, or a month in the hospital, and then 2 months in rehab. And it affected my right side, so I have very limited mobility with my right arm. And it took me about a year to get back into like regular walking. So, you know, I still once in a while have to wear this. You see it? So
I know many field goal kickers that would love to have that, probably.
Well, it's either, or it could just be a beer bong. I mean,
Oh, that's
That's hilarious.
but it's supposed to help with the balance and like when
Right.
you're walking.
Yes.
So I still do. I'm still doing therapy, and I have a walking therapist that comes once a week. So I just want to give a shout out to Brian from Homestretch, who I told him I would do him a shout out.
Well, we'll send him a bill for the advertising. That's okay.
But it's so like walking, like it's like, you know, like, so walking is difficult. I can walk short distances.
Right. So let me ask you this, because we're going to bring up the clues for the awareness here in a moment. But for all three of you, where you are today in your recovery, what are the chances of any more improved recovery, or have you all kind of peaked at where your recovery is right now, and that's going to be where you're at, and you just have to this new normal? Who would like to go?
Well, it's
Sure.
oh,
So
John can go.
I feel good. I mean, I go, like I said, I go to the gym 5 days a week. I left weights. I go to Kiwanis. I think I've peaked. I mean, it's been 6 years. I'm talking. If I talk slow, I'm okay. I have to remember to do that, because naturally we all talk at a normal pace. I can't do that pace. I have to remember that, and I don't do it often, and I should remember to do that. So, but when I had my stroke, when I got to the hospital, I thought they said I had a heart attack, and I misunderstood the doctor. And when he told me that my wife wasn't with me, and I cried. I cried for an hour straight, because my family doesn't have a history of heart problems. And I had a heart attack. No, Mr. Brummer, you didn't have a heart attack. You had a stroke, and you will recover. And thankfully to these guys and my other friends in Kiwanis and the kids we worked with, I survived.
Very good. Derek, how about you? Where are you at in terms of any more progression on recovery?
I'm still working on regaining movement. I have movement, but it's not like the same. Because before I worked as a professional photographer, which I still do, but luckily my right side still works, so I can still handle a camera.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I always found out I was worked on in the hospital was having a sense of humor. Because like, well, I'll give you an example. The menus in rehab, they give you like a menu of like what to pick for the week. But I was right on the bottom of I was right, beer and barbecue. And that was the same call from the same Jennifer and my nutritionist, who I was kind of wish she would have come to the room and told me face to face, because she sounded kind of cute. So I'm like, I'm hoping to, enough times if I write it in the bottom of the menu, she'll come up and be like, Mr. Lubitsch, it's not in your diet. So,
Rocky, how about you?
Well, I'm hoping I haven't peaked. Most importantly, we try to do a lot of walking, and that's very important to keep moving. I'm getting more movement in my arm, although I help it along a lot. And sometimes I think I should be in a sling with my right arm so that I don't help my left side. But it's very important. You don't want to get depressed about anything. It's easy to get depressed when you think about the things you did in your past and you can't do in your currently. So just trying to stay strong, but I don't want to ever say I've peaked out. Never.
Right.
You were going to make a comment.
Yeah. Did you guys ever go into the why me? Why did this happen to me? Why that woe is me, that pity party that we usually have when something happens to us in that ordeal? Did you guys go through that same thing? And if you did, how did you get yourself out of it?
Well, I think, for me, that I went through the woe me is in I think going through rehab. No rehab, but rehab in the hospital, inpatient rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Just laying in the hospital bed, you just kind of think,
mm-hmm.
This really sucks. I can't, I'm stuck here. So
sure.
And
so
rehab was,
mm-hmm.
they have a very strict, what do you call it? Protocol. So it's like 9 a.m. speech therapy,
mm-hmm.
and then like 10 or 11 is occupational, and then physical therapy. And
and so once you started going through your physical therapy, going through that and that whole deal, and I know it was difficult at times in that whole deal, was there any point in time where you said, hey, I'm through with this, I don't want to do this anymore?
No.
No?
I say no, because I go to stroke support groups almost 3 days a week, and I see other people. I feel so lucky because I'm okay. I mean, I see some people, they can't talk at all, or they can't walk, and I'm so fortunately, I had a stroke, and I was warned I was going to have a stroke because I didn't take medicine. I had high blood pressure. I ignored the doctor's order to take my medicine, and that caused my stroke.
Yep.
You all had three. You all each had a stroke. When you will go to the rehab and see other folks like yourself that are trying to recover from strokes, some are worse off, some are not.
Oh yeah.
What is there any reason or any type of medical reasons or why certain people are worse off, just depending on where the stroke happened? Is that something that might be a cause for maybe someone who's not able to recover and speak at all, or some people that are not able to walk? The severity of the stroke, is it depending on where it's at, or is it all the same thing?
Well,
I mean, where does the stroke initially happen to decide what kind of recovery you're going to have. I mean,
Or the effects.
yeah, the effects.
Guys, who wants to take it? Rocky?
That's a great question. I really don't know, but I noticed when I was in the hospital, there were several people that were in much worse condition than I was. And I was sitting there feeling very grateful for the fact that I wasn't in their situation. Some of them had to be lifted mechanically up off of the bed to get out and things like that. One gentleman, he hiccuped. He had hiccups every single 10 seconds.
Wow.
So everything gets affected differently. And I felt so bad for him. And he was my roommate on the other side of the room, but he hiccuped constantly. So I don't know what it is. We have different levels, I guess. Being an athlete, I never thought I would be at this situation whatsoever, because you're trained to win. And I'm going to win over this. And that's what I was saying in the hospital. I will beat this. I've beaten everybody else. I will beat this. Because
So it doesn't matter how great a shape you are, what kind of athlete you are, or if you're
Not at all.
or the eating habits. It just doesn't matter.
Jim Fix, one of the greatest runners of all time, was in late 70s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Fit condition. While running, he collapses of a heart attack and dies right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know the thing about it, there's programs that are out there. You have like for myself and my wife, we go to Lifeline.
Mhm.
And that Lifeline, we go there and they do
Lifeline screening?
the screening,
Yeah,
and
we've done that.
they look at your veins and your
Mhm.
carotid. They look at all of those things and let you know how much plaque buildup that you have. So it's our due diligence. It's our responsibility to do our due diligence to make sure we go to our doctors and get those done.
It's a great segue because, John, I'm going to ask you to bring up the flyer, please. Gentlemen, we're going to go over those items on the card. We have about 5 minutes left with you. So there's the card up on the screen. You guys can start however you want to do it to go over that card, please.
Oh,
Go ahead, Derek.
oh, okay. Well, this one actually, I think it was my first experience with it was the loss of balance. So it feels like you just spent all night in the casino, So you feel kind of you fall over.
From all the money in your pockets.
Ooh, baby.
Right?
And then I had an uneven smile on my left side, and my arm went numb. And then the speech too. Then
Okay.
the time you have, I think it's a 3-hour time window they give you.
And that was that medication that John B up there talked about. I want everybody to realize that the squares in yellow spell out the words "be fast." And so this is an acronym for B for balance, as Derek was just talking about. So I didn't mean to interrupt there. Keep going. Whoever's next, however you guys have broken this up.
Whoever wants to give the definition of time, the 3 hours. What's the 3-hour time limit to get to a hospital?
Go ahead, John.
I think if you have an ischemic stroke, time is the essence to get the TPA shot. After a certain amount of time, you can't get it anymore, and who knows what would happen.
Do you guys know what TPA stands for?
Oh, I gotta look it up.
Okay, no worries. It's a dose.
It's a clot buster. It's a clot buster.
There you go.
Okay.
So, right, which you have
I
a
actually
3-hour
actually
window.
You have 3 hours to get that shot, though. Okay.
Right.
And you have to be very honest when the doctors are asking you,
That's right.
when did you first notice that something was occurring to you?
Right.
And they'll keep going back to that. When, what time? Because if they give you the shot afterwards, after the 3-hour window, if it's been 3 hours, that causes possible brain bleeding,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
makes things even worse.
Well,
So-
I'm glad we covered that because Herman in the chat room, our good friend Herman, doesn't how it affects you depend upon how soon you get your medical treatment. So yes, that if you're outside that 3 hours and you don't have the TPA shot, presumably the stroke effect could be worse than if you got it within the 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, and also
Absolutely.
And also, right, you have strokes that either come because the blood clots can either come from the leg, or either they can go from the heart to the brain or to the lungs, right? So the thing about it, that's why you get stents put in so that they can stop those blood clots from moving.
All right, who wants to talk about the E? Because I'm running out of time, so let's go through this. We got B for balance, E is for eyes. What does that mean?
Well, you want to make sure that you're seeing correctly. If you have blurred vision, anything like that. See, I didn't suffer any of that, thank goodness, and I didn't suffer any voice. I was able to talk, which was, they kept saying, you can talk. I said, yes, I can talk. My wife didn't like that much. I could talk and I could hear.
Right.
So those didn't affect me. But the eyes can be a certain thing. If all of a sudden you have a loss of vision, and again, that's the body telling you that something is wrong. So react, do something positive, go to the doctor, call 911.
So that goes along. That goes along.
For me, I had a.
Go ahead, Derek.
Sorry, I had a stint. It's like a little. Looks like a little mesh. It's like a mesh tube.
Okay.
And so I actually had a blockage back here where my skull meets the
Spinal cord. Yeah.
And when they did the surgery, they're like, okay, we're going to go through your groin.
Right.
Okay.
And so it's like, surgical, and they go up through your groin and up here.
All right. F for face. Who's going to cover that one? I think you kind of did, Rocky, when you talked about the eyes and numbing and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
A for arm.
Oh, that's when your left arm goes numb, or your right arm, or because my case, my left arm went numb. So
gotcha. S for speech, and I presume, Rocky, again, you touched on that about slurred speech. Can you talk, et cetera, right? And then T for time is got to be quick, right, John Brummer?
You got that right.
Yep. The most important one.
I wanted everybody to see at the bottom of that card, PSA, Pacific Stroke, is that association, right? Or association.
Yep.
650-565-8485 is the number. Now, my three friends here, they're not part of PSA. They're doing this on their own, providing their own public service announcement about supporting stroke awareness and their effects, and how these gentlemen, how they've survived and come this far. Last time we talked, you guys were also going to possibly create a Kiwanis club specific for stroke, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Mainly stroke awareness.
Okay. So that's in the works. So more from these gentlemen. We're also going to be putting, hopefully, a commercial together that can be used by anybody in support of stroke awareness. Gentlemen, we're out of time. I love you guys for taking time to come on with me again. I'm getting messages in the chat room about how important it is for the information we're sharing. I wish you the best of all continued health. I've known Rocky the longest because his wife and I were lieutenant governors together. John Brummer up there, he's a big fan of Kiwanis Connects. And when I went up to Reno, which is on Fridays, John Brummer, tomorrow morning. So when I went up to convention in August, and he comes up to me and he goes, Aaron Phillips. I'm like, do I know? He goes, John Brummer from the show. I had no idea he had a stroke, honest to God. Derek, I met in August at the convention as well. These three gentlemen put on a great show. I love these guys. Great, important message. I'll talk to you guys soon. Again, John, Rocky, Derek, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. Absolutely.
All right. With that, everybody, we're going to step aside for a quick break. And we come back, we're going to wrap up with some who knows what. We'll be right back.
They got me on.
Hi, my name is Edgar Alejandro. I'm the co-founder of Rising Again Productions. So we've been here in Vegas producing films for the past couple of years, and we've seen our fair share of studios. We worked in our fair share of studios, and to be honest, WWDBTV has been our favorite by far. John is so welcoming. The space is wonderful. It's perfect for what we need. We've had rehearsals here. We've had callbacks here. We've had table reads here. So if you're a Vegas creative, or really just a creative coming into Vegas, definitely check out this space. Chat with John. I think you'll find that this studio has everything that you'll need as well.
Hey everybody, I am Edgar.
I'm Governor Val.
Host what kind of show?
We host the most fabulous show on this network you've ever seen. It's all about Kiwanis and what's going on in our different cities.
And Kiwanis Connects is the title, and you can watch us every Friday morning, 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, right on Facebook or WWDBTV. Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Aloha.
Do it.
All right, welcome back to the round table. Don't forget tomorrow 9 a.m. as you just heard, and this is for John Brummer's Education. Tomorrow 9 a.m. John, Fridays. They're still in the green room over there, so he's covering his face. He calls me on a Thursday. How come you guys aren't on at 9 o'clock? Then
That's
Douglas
funny.
Chadwick asked me the same thing 2 weeks ago, and I asked Douglas, is he using John Brummer's calendar for crying out loud?
Right.
Kiwanis Connects Friday 9 a.m. Tomorrow's show, Val will not be with us because she's on vacation. God bless her. About time. I'll be hosting with a whole cavalcade of people tomorrow. It's a grab bag show. God help us all.
Cavalcade.
Cavalcade. You like that?
I like that
Cavalcade.
He's coming up. It's 2024, gang.
Don't
He's
ask-
got a new. Now he's
Word.
got a new one,
Went
y'all.
from
But that's an old
plethora-
word, though.
Plethora
It's an old
to
word. It's an
cavalcade.
old year word, but it's a new one on this show.
On this show.
Went from
Bring it back. Hashtag cavalcade of stars.
plethora to cavalcade.
That's right. I got to use that next time. All right.
That's funny.
Where do you guys want to go? We got about just about eight minutes.
We talked about the coaching stuff
Yes.
briefly. Just
Yes.
What do you think of each individual? Belichick. Let's start with Belichick.
Okay.
Go ahead, big dog.
71 years old, as football in this game kind of passed him. I think what we've seen is that it was a lot of Brady for that success,
Well, yeah.
because then he goes to Tampa, Brady,
Wins another
and
one.
wins another Super Bowl. However, I think if Belichick wants to come back to coach, he should just focus on coaching and not be a GM.
I agree with all that. I don't think any coaches need to be involved in the front office stuff.
But I forgot that both Saban and Belichick coached together on the Browns
Yes, they
Browns
did.
squad. He was a coach, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Belichick.
Yeah, he
Yes.
was for the Browns back in the
Yes.
late 80s or
Yes,
early
and
90s.
Belichick was my, coach, not my coach, but he was the guy that broke down film, offense, defense, and special teams, and would bring it, to the room so that we could watch
Right.
it and that whole deal. So that's how he got all the knowledge about offense and defense
Right.
so well in that whole deal. And I remember when he left, and he says, "I'll see you guys down the road." That's what he said, and sure enough,
Yeah.
he went and did a great job. Wherever he went, he did a great job, and then he got the head coaching job, man, in New England, and that's you
I
can
don't
walk
want-
around and you can see what
Oh,
he
You
did.
think
absolutely,
you think he'll coach again? Or is that a
He says
happy
he wants
retirement?
to, from what I heard, I guess. But
If not,
It's in
boy,
their blood. I mean, you want
if
to.
not, why can't you be a special advisor? You know what I'm saying? Like Mike Shanahan is doing. Mike Shanahan
Right.
is an advisor to his son
Right.
out there in San Francisco. He
Mhm.
was an advisor there with the Broncos as well, working with Russell Wilson.
Right.
So why not be a special advisor instead of getting into the coaching with all of the rigors and the high blood pressure and all that type of stuff? Then you can sit on the side and let's say quality control.
Mhm.
Okay, as far as the offense is concerned, that way all the weight doesn't fall on you. You've already done it for how long?
Right.
I mean, guys, coaching is rigorous.
It's funny
it's
about-
tough. It's hard.
It's funny
and it's a
about
lot of hours.
It's funny about Belichick. They said the first thing out of their mouth, well, he's lost more games than any other coach. And well, that's because he coached for 20 some years,
right?
and he's got 6 rings. So you got to weigh it out. Okay, he lost 200 and some games, but was he still chasing Don Shula's record?
that's
I
the other
think.
thing now, because that's something I heard talk on ESPN this morning with Teddy Bruschi. Up until now, everything's about team winning, team winning, team winning. Does it now switch really for the first time to the personal? He's not that far off from Shula, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
He needs a handful of wins, I want to
yeah,
say.
not money, not many.
But is a team willing to bring him in
just for
for
that,
really for a short term
yeah.
to reach a goal and then start again?
Yeah, I mean, but what difference is it going to make? I mean, look,
His legacy
look,
sealed.
I understand the legacy. I had a legacy. I was the all-time leading punt returner man in yards in the National Football League. Somebody came and broke it.
Right.
So
It's gonna
records are going to
happen.
be broke
Right.
anyway. It does.
Do you think anybody will one coach really going to get 6 Super Bowls anymore?
No.
So,
Not
so
even.
that's a record
That'll
that will
never
probably
happen.
get
You know why?
Right.
Because of free agency.
Right.
Free agency has taken that and just thrown it out the window.
Well, you could almost ask the same question about Saban.
Right.
I feel bad for the next person in Alabama.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, what about when Bear Bryant passed away?
Right.
You had to have
Sure.
someone come in behind him who, once again, set the standard there in that whole deal, right? let's go do it. Let's
But
go do this.
They went through a few coaches though before they got to.
I understand that, but once again, you're going to have to do that.
Sure.
Look, folks, understand. There's only one Bill Belichick. There's only one Bear Bryant. There's only one coach that can do those type of things. Right. Don't put their success on me.
Right.
But
that's what I tell people.
That's what everybody's.
I don't care about it. Everybody's stupid too. Okay.
Now,
that's just my opinion.
Now, in Pete Carroll's case, Pete Carroll's been around.
WD-40 for that.
Right. Pete Carroll's been everywhere over the really? He got a Super Bowl. Yeah, he coached the Jets.
Yeah, but he's been with Seattle long enough though.
Yeah, 10 years. What? More than 17 years.
All right.
Yeah, and you have to change
a Super Bowl out of it.
I forgot he coached those other teams.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
You have to change the culture.
Sure.
You know
that they have to do.
Yes.
For sure.
These are younger kids coming in now. And a lot of these younger kids, man, don't relate to the older coaches. These younger coaches, they relate to. That's why the Raiders kids,
AP,
they relate to AP.
Right.
Because he speaks their lingo.
Right.
I've always wondered one question for both of you. What is the meaning of the game has passed him by? They used to say that about Al Davis all the time. What does that actually mean, the game has passed you by?
Well, it's the young ball players. They're talking about the young players being able to relate to him. That it doesn't have to do with the plays and all that type of stuff.
System,
it's them being able to relate with him.
And there's other things around football that has changed that a George Halas or Bear Bryant, Tom Landry. Look at all the statistics that coaches use. Analytics. That's
analytics. Yeah.
It's worse in baseball. Yes. But in football, how many times when somebody goes for a fourth down, immediately the stats on there?
That's just been this season, the analytics. Fourth and one, it's got a 30% chance.
But again, it's another number that coaches have to think about and look at to react to. So I think analytics has really seeped in and hurt the game.
But also analytics are used in gambling. Because once again, when those things come out, all of those guys that are there into the gambling and gambling big money, they look at those numbers and they say, nope, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
All the propositions that we have.
I'm just not, as far as football and NFL, I don't like coaches now. They 4th and 8, they're going for it. Stop.
Well, there's times that you have to do that.
There's a very few handful of times where you go for it on 4th down.
There were some calls this past weekend where they're going fourth
three
down
or four times a game,
and they're on their side of the road 50.
It's crazy. Stop.
I mean, when the obvious time is to go for a field goal versus a 2-point conversion, I'm screaming at my television. Why are they going?
The
2-point conversion
for me.
You got 2 quarters to go.
Was
Detroit,
Detroit and Dallas. That perfect example.
Yeah.
When Mike Campbell Campbell from Detroit. You went for the 2-point conversion. You won. You're going to win the game. But then they got called back. Now just tie the game. Just kick the extra point. And then they went for it again a third time and lost.
You're right. Again, we got to realize and understand the situation. Detroit is already in the playoffs.
Right.
Sure.
So what they're going to do is they're going to say to themselves, down the road in these playoffs,
let's try it.
Let's try it, and they're going to look at the film and see why they didn't succeed on that play.
Session.
Like a practice session. They're already in the playoffs.
Sure.
Right.
So it's a practice session to see and say, hey, if we get in this situation again, I'll be better prepared, man, and call a better play in order for us to be successful.
It's always a risk, though. I never.
It is a risk.
If you can't pick up a third down.
Gambler, man. You got to have that poker face sometimes.
All right. So we have about 2 minutes left. I just pulled up the schedule for the upcoming weekend. Saturday, Cleveland visiting Houston. Who's your winner?
Man,
and we're just going to do this week by week.
I'm jumping on the Browns train. I want to see them go.
Joe Flacco?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I'm going with Stroud. I'm going with this young kid down there. He is playing awful well right now, and they're riding high. So I'm going to go with the Houston. Although I like Cleveland, don't get me wrong. I'm going with the Houston.
Oh,
I like Joe Flacco's story coming off the couch like
a
Justin
month ago.
Pugh.
I know.
Yeah.
But CJ Stroud, if he's not the rookie of the year, I'd be very surprised.
And the coach too. My God.
And the coach. So I'm going to go with Houston as well. Miami at Kansas City.
Well, I think we all agree with that one. -2 degrees. I just don't see Miami being able to.
They're going to be a fish out of water,
right? And they do, right.
Well, the thing about it, both literally, but once again, both teams have to play in it. Right. Both teams have to play.
Right.
The elements are going to affect
Kansas
the game.
City is more
apt to it.
Used
to it in that whole deal. Right. But let me tell you something, guys. Honestly and truthfully, I've seen in my playing days, I've saw some teams come into Cleveland
Just
when it
do
was
it.
Sumner,
Sure.
and they won those games
Yeah.
because they wanted to prove a point. So
Right.
I'm still going to go with Kansas City
Yeah, me
at
too.
home.
Me too.
The elements are going to play a big factor.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. All right, on Sunday, Pittsburgh going into Buffalo. Got to make these quick.
I'm Steelers. I am.
Okay.
There's somehow about Lewis.
Are they going to Tomlin their way into a
Mike
win?
Tomlin? Boy,
Okay.
he's just he's something about him.
Pittsburgh, Buffalo.
I'm going with Pittsburgh
Me
as
too.
well.
Me too.
I'm going to take Buffalo at home.
Okay.
Green Bay visiting Dallas. Dallas needs to win.
I hate both teams. I
I do
really
too.
do. I'm going
It's
to
a
pick.
lesser of both evils.
I'm going to pick the underdog, Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
I'm going with Dallas. Dallas is playing real well. That
At
defense,
home, especially.
yeah, at
Yeah.
home. That defense
Yeah.
there at home, man.
Okay.
I don't see Green Bay beating them.
I'll take that. It pains me to say this, but I'll go with Dallas. Rams visiting Detroit.
The Rams, holy mackerel! I mean, the last half of the season, holy mackerel, they have just.
Yeah.
But I think Detroit, they've never been this good. I think at home they're going to pull it out.
Goff versus Stafford.
Yeah,
These are the
there
two
you
teams
go.
that are
Yeah,
There
ready
you
to
Detroit.
go.
I think the
Yeah.
Lions.
Yeah. I'm going with Lions as well. Close game.
Yeah.
Close game. No doubt.
I'm rooting for Dan Campbell and company. I love
Right.
what he's done with that team. And on Monday night, Philadelphia Eagles, the team that everybody's wondering why the wheels fell off.
They did, didn't they?
Even my Giants beat them pretty good this past
Yes,
week.
they
I wondered
did.
where the hell they were all year.
Right.
Down in Tampa Bay.
Their defense, they changed their defensive coordinator.
Both
Their
coordinators, didn't they?
defense, the defensive coordinator hasn't been able to stop a
Matt
nosebleed.
Patricia, that's the guy who was heralded up in
Right.
New England.
Exactly.
Quickly, Philadelphia.
I think
Tampa.
Philadelphia's going to wake up in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
No, I'm going with Tampa. I'm going to go with Tampa at home.
Baker.
I'm going to go with Money Field right there, baby. He's the
Yeah.
one that first coined that, didn't he? Baker Mayfield at home with the upset, and then we're going to see some big changes in Philly. All right, we're out of time. Once again, thank you to our guests, John and Rocky and Derek. We thank you.
Thank you.
Final thoughts, gentlemen, quickly as we say goodbye.
I love the jerseys, man. They look so good. We look so good. But everybody, have fun this
North.
weekend. Watch some football. Again,
North
keep your head
Dallas
above
40,
water
is that the
and
name of that
keep
team?
getting up every day and living your life.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Rick.
Well, once again, enjoy life 2024. There's going to be more. There's going to be good things happening, folks. So get ready.
All right, everybody, as always, thank you for watching the Roundtable. Join me 9 a.m. tomorrow since John is still in the green room. 9 a.m. tomorrow, John Brummer, Kiwanis Connects. Everybody, thank you for watching. Be kind to everybody. Why? We're all have. See you next time right here on the Roundtable. See ya.